Well, let's take a closer look at the ceasefire proposal that's actually being discussed. The first phase would be a temporary truce during which Hamas would release women, the elderly and wounded captives in exchange for Palestinians held in Israeli prisons. The second phase would include a permanent end to the hostilities and the release of all remaining Israeli captives. And the third phase would be the reconstruction of Gaza and the return of the remains of any deceased captives to Israel. Well, let's get more on this with the Hamas spokesman, Osama Hamdan. Good to have you back on the show. What is your assessment of these talks so far?
Well, thank you for having me. I have to start by saying till now we didn't hear any clear information about what had happened yesterday. It seems to me that till now the mediators are still talking to the Israeli side in the same way which had happened in last May. In last May, I have to remind everyone that we have agreed on the suggestion of the mediators. And after 3 weeks, the Israelis have said no. 3 weeks of negotiations with the Israelis, the outcome was negative. Till now, the mediators are talking about bridging the gaps. But it's clear that the gaps from the Israeli side, they are adding more conditions. They are talking about some new issues, which I believe they are trying to undermine the process. Anyway, till now, we didn't hear any positive signs from the mediators. We hope to hear those signs because our position is still clear. If we were invited to participate for the executive implement for the suggestions, we will do that. Okay. Otherwise, we don't need more negotiations.
Well, I did want to ask you why you're relying on mediators to give you information about these talks, not sending a delegation yourself.
Well, this is the process. It's how it happened. They talk to the Israelis and they come back to talk to Hamas. If there was a positive reaction from the Israeli side, till now it seems that there was no positive acceptance from the Israeli side. We have talked to the mediators early 3 days before yesterday, and we told them if there was a clear answer from the Israelis that they accept your mediation, they accept your proposal, we are ready to participate. It seems to me till now the Israelis, they didn't say yes yet.
How much leeway are you willing to give? We've seen the Israeli side, Netanyahu particularly, push for Israeli control of the Philadelphi corridor to keep checkpoints inside Gaza. Are these issues that Hamas is willing to give ground on?
Well, it was clear we have received guarantees from the American side through the mediators, the brothers in Qatar and Egypt, that the Israeli withdrawal will be complete from Gaza, including Philadelphi and Rafah cross point. From our side, our position is clear. We want a complete Israeli withdrawal. And according to the maps, which is supposed to be included to the agreement, there will be no Israeli presence on Philadelphia and Rafah crossing point. And we have received also a clear position from the Egyptian side that they will not accept the Israeli presence anymore if there was a ceasefire.
This is the first round of talks that has taken place without Ismail Haniyeh. He was the chief negotiator. Of course, he was assassinated in Tehran. How does that complicate efforts for Hamas at the table?
Well, let me start by saying that the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh was a clear sign from Israeli side, especially Netanyahu, that he is not willing to have a ceasefire arrangement. And he is trying to undermine the process in different ways. Our decision was to go forward in the negotiations and to achieve the goal, the ceasefire, the Israeli withdrawal, and the reform, the reconstruction of Gaza. Now, Yahya Sinwar is the head of Hamas, and he was following the negotiations through the period of the presence of brother Ismail Haniyeh. So I believe, as principles, there is no changes in Hamas position, and the same delegation is following up the negotiations, and they will continue their work under the supervision of Yahya Sinwar, who was involved all the time about the negotiations.
Does Hamas accept that now is the time for a ceasefire and now is the time for compromise, difficult compromises, given that the death toll in Gaza has passed 40,000 people, an astonishing toll taken on the Gaza population?
Well, I have to remind everyone that the 40,000 people who were killed, they are our own people. So and secondly, from after the Paris initiative, we have a clear position welcoming this initiative and showing our willing to have a ceasefire. All the time, the side who was undermining the process was the Israeli side. We have accepted the initiative of the mediators in April, the second initiative in May, and the third initiative in June. And every time the Israelis face that with massacres, killing hundreds of Palestinians, assassinations, and the new conditions. Everyone understands, especially the mediators, that the side who's undermining the process still now is the Israelis, and they are not showing a real will to accept a ceasefire. And I hope also to see the American position making the needed pressure on the Israeli side, who's counting on the American position and still undermining the process.
OK. Osama Hamdan, good to speak to you. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us here on Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.